and equations from geometry. So these percent problems you guys have been doing since like pre-algebra, all right? So this is definitely a review. So 93 is 30% of what number? So it goes exactly in the order that it's written, all right? So is and of are really important to know what those mean, and then you just write it exactly in order. So it's in English, we're going to write it as a math sentence. So 93, obviously, we write down 93. Is means equals, okay? And then we write 30%. Now, when you do a percent, there are multiple ways to do a percent, right? I'm going to do 30 over 100. What's another way you could do it? Yeah, you could do 0.3 if you like decimals, okay? As long as you understand how to do it. But I usually just put it over 100. So 30% means out of 100. All right. Of means what? Multiply. And then we have what number, so that would be n. Okay, we are solving for n, so we need to get n by itself, which means we have to get rid of this fraction. So I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. I don't really have a lot of room there, so I'm going to put it right here. 100 over 30, so that's on this side, and then I'm going to multiply by 100 over 30 on this side. So this all cancels, and I'm left with just n. Over here, my zeros can cross off, and I can actually simplify 3 into 93 here. So 3 goes into itself once, 3 goes into 93 31 times, then multiply by 10 here. So that would be 310. Chloe?
How would you multiply if you're doing a decimal?
Good question. So if you like decimals and you did this, okay, because that's 30%, you wouldn't multiply, you would divide by the decimal, and then you'd have to do that in your head, on your calculator, however you want to do it, okay? And you'd get the same answer. All right, 7,800 is what percent of 390? So it's in the order that it goes, right? So I have 7,800, and then I have the word is. What does that mean? Okay. And then it says what percent. This time we're missing the percent. So I'm going to do P over 100 when you're missing the percent. If you just put a variable, that's fine. You just have to move the decimal later. Okay, some people like to do it that way. I like to do it this way so I don't have to move the decimal. All right? And then it says of, so that means multiply, 390. All right, you could just do reciprocal here, but that confused some people, so I am going to show you one more little step right here. So 7,800 equals, I'm multiplying top to top and bottom to bottom. So that's the same thing as 390p over 100. Top to top, and I just put the 390 in the front of the variable, and then bottom to bottom. Okay? You don't have to show that step because you could technically just do reciprocal right away. But now I'm going to do the reciprocal. So I'm getting this variable by itself, which means I need to get rid of this fraction. So I'm going to multiply by 100 over 390. I'm going to multiply by 100 over 390. So cancel, 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 cancel. Okay, this is over 1, and I'm multiplying here. The zeros can cancel. 39 goes into 78, right? Isn't that like twice? Is that exactly twice? Yeah, so that's nice. This actually goes into this twice with 2 more zeros here. Times by 10 is 2,000. And we solved for the percent, so you do have to put the percent symbol on your answer. Okay, everybody got it? All right, find x, a, and b. Go ahead and draw this picture on your notes. We have parallel lines, which means we can use alternate interior angles, alternate exterior angles, corresponding angles, vertical angles, right? All those things we've learned to solve. All right, just a quick reminder that if you looked at this, all of the large angles are exactly the same measurement, right? Every single one of those is the same. And every single one of the small angles is the exact same measurement, okay? Just a quick reminder, just so we know, anytime we're doing parallel lines, it's going to be like that. So there's nowhere to really start here because they didn't actually give us any of the actual angles. But we have some common variables if we look at this. This has an x, and this, okay? So there's only one variable there. How do those two angles relate to each other? Sam? That's true too. They're equal to these. What about these two though? Are these equal? Yes. They're alternate exterior angles, which means they are equal. Plus they're both the small angle, right? So they have to be equal. So we can actually set 2x plus 12 equal to 5x minus 21 because they are alternate exterior angles. They're on opposite sides of the transversal, and they're on the outside of the parallel lines. All right, now we can solve. So I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. And at the same time, I'm going to add 21 over here, too. So I have 33 equals 3x. And I'm going to divide both sides by 3. So x is equal to 11. That does not mean that the angle is actually 11 degrees. Okay, x is 11. How could I find the actual angle measurement? Hayden? Yeah, you could plug it into either one, and they should be the same, right? Or you did something wrong. So I'm going to plug it in right here. This whole angle is 2 times x plus 12, right? So that's 22 plus 12. So I get 34 degrees for that entire angle, which means B is what? B is 34 degrees. How do I know that if I just found this one, Leo? Very good. Okay, and that means A is now 34 degrees. What's a couple ways I could know that? There's a couple of reasons here. Ethan? Yeah, I like using AIA because we just found this one. These are alternate interior. If you were to find this one, you could use BA, right? But those are all 34 degrees. All right, so the measures of angle A, B, C, and D are in the ratio of 1 to 2 to 4 to 2. Ratios are like fractions. All we're going to do, you guys, is this has to go exactly in the order that they wrote this. A, B, C, D, because that's what they said. A, B, C, D right here are in the ratio of 1, 2, 4, right? So what I do is I add an x to each piece. So if it's in a ratio, it's like a reduced fraction, and we don't know what it was that they all could be reduced by. So we use a variable, but it's all the same variable if they're in that ratio. So I'm going to mark them. Oh, I did that wrong, you guys, because A goes first. This is like backwards. So A is the 1, sorry. So this would be a 1x. B is the 2, so this would be a 2x. I just assumed it would go across. And C is the 4x, and D would be the 2x, okay? All right. So now that we know that, and that makes more sense, right? Because C is the biggest, so it would be 4 times x as the biggest one. What do those all have to add up to? Yeah, 180, right? This makes a straight angle. So we know that 2x plus 4x plus 2x plus 1x has to equal 180 degrees because we have a straight angle. You just want to put straight, that's fine. Okay. So I add up all my x's. So that'd be 6x, and that'd be 8x, and that would be 9x. And divide by 9. So x is what? Good, 20. My board stopped working. Oh, and we're back. All right. So x equals 20 degrees. All right. So that doesn't mean that those angles are necessarily 20, right? A is 1 times x. So A is 20 degrees. B is what? Good. 40 degrees. C is what? 80 degrees. D is what? Okay, 2 times 20. So then we have all of our angles. Okay, you don't have to write this down, but pay attention. A lot of people did some weirdness here. This was problem number 21 from like yesterday's that I graded. This -3, what does it do to each of these exponents? It multiplies to each of them, right? So that -3 goes on each. This is what a lot of you did just for this piece. I'm not worried about the rest of it. Just for this piece, a lot of you guys did this. Okay? Is 2 to the -3rd power -8? No. Okay? You're not actually multiplying it times a negative number. How do we get rid of negative exponents? Leo? Yeah, so what I want to see here is never a -8, unless it started out as a -2, then there might still be a negative on it, right? But what I want to see is the 2 move down with a +3. And then your final answer could be 8, because it's 2 times 2 times 2, right? So when you have a -8 in the top, it never moves down and becomes +8. The number never changes, only the exponent changes when you switch sides. That's it. Ethan?
When you bring it to the bottom, could you just make it 8p3 or?
Yeah, if you want to skip this step, whoops. Yeah, that's fine. I didn't like count you off if you just moved it down and put an 8 in the bottom. I just don't want to see a -8, okay? Because it never equals -8. And one other quick thing, what is this whole thing equal to? Anything to the 0 power? Okay, 1. And right here, is this whole thing equal to 1? No, because this 0 is only applied to the x. So this is -3 times 1, which is -3. All right? So make sure you recognize the difference of where the parentheses are on that one. Make sense? Cool.